Twin Bill, where you can get your fill of hosts Jason and Marcus talking about movies and stuff. You know you never can get enough. A twin is two people who are related. Twin Bill. This season is Razzie Mania. Welcome to Twin Bill, podcast with the best introduction in podcast history. I'm saying it. Yeah. All right. I'm here as always with my co-host and twin brother Marcus Luna. How you doing today, Marcus?
I'm doing okay. It's been a ridiculously hot March.
March Madness, like trademark hashtag. Uh, yeah. Same's. Not much to talk about. So, what you been watching this week?
uh, Kind of taking a break from film. I've been busy, but I'm behind. I think you finished Wonder Man or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
I finished the first episode, and it's kind
Wow.
of weird, but I think it has potential. No thought, no comment, please.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be interesting thing to talk about. The only movie I watched this week, aside from stuff for the podcast, is Senior Trip, which is an 80s boner comedy, and it's almost like it's a bad thing to watch boner comedies with no other credentials whatsoever. It was really bad. The unlikable protagonist,
Jeremy
uncomfortable.
Renner's in it.
Oh, maybe it's not called. I thought it was called Senior Trip. That's a different Senior Trip. I've seen that one too. That's a National Lampoon movie from like '95. This is a '87 shot on videotape movie. Maybe it's not called Senior Trip. It's probably called.
Is it from 1981?
That was '87. Now I gotta find it.
Senior Trip in 81 with Scott Baio.
Tubi's gonna say. Tubi always does this when I watch a movie a week later. Like, do you want to watch this movie you just watched? Oh come
Until
on.
senior week.
Yeah, probably. Yes. It said Porky's meet. The tagline is Porky's meets One Crazy Summer. I've never seen Porky's. That looks pretty bad too. It wishes it was One Crazy Summer. That movie's actually good, but different podcast. One Crazy Summer is like the Better Off Dead for summer themed movies. I don't know what the distinction is, but yeah, whatever. Same director as Better Off Dead. Uh, Anywho, maybe subconsciously I was talking about that movie for so long because no one wants to talk about the island. All right. Well, let's get into it. Yes, The Island was directed by a man named Michael Ritchie, who I assumed was British, probably because of Guy Ritchie, but he's actually from Wisconsin. And he's never been accused of being an auteur, but he's randomly made some of the greatest, mostly comedies of all times. The big outlier for The Island, as we'll get into, but he directed The Bad News Bears, all-time
Yeah,
classic, Fletch, all-time classic,
yeah.
Golden Child, wobbly as crap, but a pretty funny Eddie Murphy movie, and the incredibly underrated Wildcats with Goldie Hawn as a high school football coach. And then he directed The Island.
You wrote this, got a story credit for Cool Runnings.
That's pretty bad too, but I guess it's sort of it's Disney children's purpose. John Candy, rest in peace. Yeah.
You mentioned Bad News Bears. I thought you were gonna definitely mention he directed The Scout.
He directed The Scout. I always thought that was my boy, everyone's boy, uh, Albert Brooks.
Albert Brooks is in it, but Michael Ritchie's the credited director.
I mean, it kind of explains why it's not as good as an Albert Brooks movie, but it's still wow, that's pretty good. That's also a good movie. So there you go. Yes. Yeah, not much to say about him. I don't know. Yeah. And then this movie is arguably the most famous credit in the movie. It's on the poster. Is Peter Benchley wrote the novel and the screenplay. And looking at the IMDb, this is pretty much the last attempt that Peter Benchley made to make a big movie because it was Jaws and this, and then a bunch of TV projects in the '90s. And for timeline, this is after Jaws 2, but before Jaws 3D, which he had nothing to do with either, but he gets credit because of the intellectual property.
Yeah, kind of like did Puzo have anything to do with Godfather 2? Whatever. It doesn't have to be the perfect. I thought that was he might have actually. So uh
Definitely not Godfather 3, I would imagine.
but
Maybe not.
Coppola had to do a lot because you Puzo was unreliable and not as talented as him.
But unlike Peter Benchley, Mario Puzo was a working screenwriter in Hollywood, not just a novelist. Yeah.
Then why did Peter Benchley write this stupid screenplay? Spoiler, it sucks.
Well, because he wrote Jaws and he thought he could write another one, and then I don't know if he literally wrote The Island. He's like, my God, what have I done? I must never write a screenplay again. That's kind of what it feels like.
I don't know why I didn't give a co-writer because there was a co-writer for Jaws who basically heavily rewrote his screenplay.
Yeah, and Spielberg's like a lot of the big time directors. He will rewrite movies and not take credit for it. Also, but
Very hands-on in a good way, supportive of people who work for him, but
yeah,
without sacrificing quality of the film, I would say.
and we'll expand how this movie's not like Jaws a little later on. It's fairly obvious, but this movie has two very famous producers, kind of randomly. Um, David Brown, who, fun fact for everyone, uh, Cosmopolitan editor Helen Gurley Brown. She got the Brown from David Brown. I didn't realize she got it from marriage, let alone to a famous movie producer.
Yeah.
And then David Brown produced the first two Jaws films, and then right after uh, this movie, he directed Neighbors, one of the most unsuccessful SNL alum films ever, where
You,
John Belushi insisted on what?
you said directed, but you meant produced, right?
Produced, yes. He directed, said, you kid, direct this movie. Which John Belushi insisted on playing the normal straight man, and Dan Aykroyd ended up playing the wacky neighbor. I'll have to see the movie at some point. It kind of sounds good, interesting at least. Yeah. And then we talked about a couple podcast episodes ago about tenuous connection to all that jazz. David Brown produced one of my other favorite movies of all time, Robert Altman's The Player in 1990. Excellent movie.
I need to see it.
It's good. It's good. Very, yeah, very what's the word? Stylish. Yes. I don't know. Also, another producer, much more recognizable, Richard Zanuck co-produced The Island. Of course, he is the son of founding father of Hollywood, practically Daryl F. Zanuck, and his career at the time was very similar to David Brown. He produced the first two Jaws movies as well and Neighbors, so that they must have been in a collaborative environment for a while. And then can you guess which later Best Picture winner Richard Zanuck produced with his wife?
I get a lot of early Spielberg, so Schindler's List or something.
He wishes. Driving Miss Daisy. I don't want to act like it's exclusive trivia. He may have produced other Oscar winners, but that was the one I saw. But yeah, fairly
Hmm.
infamous Best Picture winner. But yeah,
I don't see another one.
and
Just
then
yeah.
yeah, and then the movie has music by Ennio Morricone, Mr. Spaghetti Western himself. As mentioned on this very podcast, he did the score for Windows, and Windows was better.
The music was better on Windows too, and I didn't even care for the score on Windows that much, but it's another thing on Island that could have been better.
Yeah, and then I mentioned this on the Windows episode too, but Ennio Morricone scored like 20 movies a year till like 2019. It's very prolific. Yeah, not that it's a lot, but yeah, whatever. Yeah. All right, let's get into the cast. Fairly short list because not very. There's no famous people in this movie other than the top two, and there's three top billings. You know that shows you the star power in this movie. Of course, we have Michael Caine as Blair Maynard, the American journalist, who obviously is from England, but he's an American citizen, investigating boat losses in the Bermuda Triangle. And as mentioned on this very show, also starred in Razzie nominee Dress to Kill in the very same year.
Yeah.
Yep. And then one of the wackiest names for a character I've ever come across in a movie. David, do you remember what David Warner's name is?
I'm looking right at it, but I wouldn't have remembered for after watching the film.
How do you pronounce that? Is it just no?
Now, like Bill Cosby on a stand-up special.
Oh boy. Bill Cosby would have definitely hung out
Hey,
with those
hey,
pirates.
hey. I'm talking about stand-up, not the after things he did.
Yeah. Yes, David Warner is now the leader of a secretly hidden centuries old sect of French pirates. I wanted to briefly mention that aside from the island, this is like peak 80s David Warner because well, technically not 80s, but whatever. In 1979, he played Jack the Ripper in Time After Time. Excellent. Then he played the evil genius in Time Bandits in 1981. Excellent. And then, as fans of the show might remember, he played Ed slash the Master Control Program in Tron in 1982. So aside from the island, he was killing it. Yeah. And then, yeah, the not star who is the star of this movie, Angela Punch McGregor. Very unfortunate name given what happens to Beth in this movie. Punch, but she gets punched a lot. But yeah, she plays Beth, uh, the the one lady in the pirate gang who gets forcibly impregnated with Blair's seed, and it's a template for female abuse in cinema. Oh boy, this movie's fun. Right?
Yep.
And looking at IMDb, she's not very famous, but she did work a lot as like a mostly it looks like Australian character actress. So like, yeah. Uh, so I have a lot to say about the like this movie in general, but especially the concept and the pitch. Um, this is the first movie in this history of this podcast where, aside from being like, "Oh, the title is a little weird" or whatever, the title is actually hurts the movie's appeal and people watching it because it's called The Island. When you Google The Island, there's like 10 movies, actual islands. It's just, and then the movie's not really about the island. I know it's there is an island, but the movie's about pirates. So the island is just a lazy, sloppy title.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's what Peter Benchley calls book, and they really thought this book would be profitable. But yeah, I don't get it either. Right? It very well it could have been on a peninsula or something. I don't know, but I guess it's in the Caribbean, so I guess therefore it has to be an island because there's not a lot of land masses. There's no land masses out there, but
Well, yeah, and that's the whole thing about the Bermuda Triangle is that the everything is remote. Yeah. So and then we have the poster, which is behind me, which is the knife hand coming out of the water towards the boat, which is a really cool image and probably did help sell the movie, but also very misleading to the plot of the film. I would expect a slasher movie about one guy with a knife, not some weird quasi documentary study about colony of pirates. So strike two against this movie.
well, I don't know what the ideal poster is. It's hard to convey the messed up plot in this movie in a poster.
Yeah, probably the best thing would be like a close up of David Warner's face with like an evil menace or something like that. Or I don't know.
Or just yeah, him or any other piratey looking dude.
It is,
Because
yeah.
really honestly, should be called Pirates. Yeah, that or something like that.
Piracy, pirate, pirate land. I mean, that's a little stupid, but whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah,
or the Bermuda Triangle even or something.
yeah.
Or the Triangle even.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the title sucks. We agree. Yeah, but the poster on its own is good art. I don't know who did the drawing, but that is good. Good posterage. And then I have two taglines. One I think is good. One I think is kind of dumb in hindsight. The first tagline is "All those who discovered the island have never been seen again," which is pretty accurate. Kind of scary. Does the job. But then the one I don't like is "Super Thriller" from the author of Jaws. People are going to expect to watch Jaws. And they'll get
it's
this
not
movie.
really, and it's kind of a thriller, I guess.
I mean,
But that
there's lots of forced thrills in this movie, like because there's literally at least three shots where it's like a character looks over the boat and then a pirate goes away. So it's like it is thrilling on a basic watching it level. Uh,
I don't think the slaughter of innocents over and over again is thrilling.
there's two parts to this movie, and I agree that the slaughter of innocents and the like I said, we'll get into this the as I call it the cannibal holocaust effect, where you shoot a movie in a documentary way so audiences might think it's real. I think they kind of do that with the pirate part, but the part where the pirates are actually killing people and capturing boats is a separate thing, which is a little more exciting, much shorter but more exciting. It's yeah. Did you watch the trailer? Sent you?
No, I didn't get a chance. Anything
You
good?
gotta start watching trailers. It's a good trailer. It's a good trailer, Marcus. So the trailer is they go for I was surprised they don't do what they always do in the 80s movies, which is just show large amounts of scenes from the movie. They do like a what do you call it, like a crane shot, sweeping shot over the Caribbean, and there's a
Mm.
voiceover guy, and he's like, uh, the Caribbean is a beautiful vacation destination, but you won't believe what's underneath. And then they cut
Yeah,
to
with the underneath thing, it's nothing happens underwater.
well, tech, whatever. First of all, I'm paraphrasing a trailer, so don't criticize the trailer for my paraphrasing. But
Fine,
second
sorry.
of all, they come from underneath the boat level in three scenes. Uh, so yeah, I thought the opening was it's a well shot trailer or whatever, but there's too much of the Caribbean is a beautiful destination because the movie doesn't really pay that off.
No, nothing really. There's no really setup of the beautiful part of the Caribbean. Gets pretty seedy immediately because
There's barely a setup to why Blair is so desperate to solve this crime. We'll get to that in a second, but
I'll wait. Yeah,
because I have lots. We're gonna do the plot breakdown before we get into anything else. Time for a trivia break. So, Marcus, The Island is a very serious movie about pirates in the Caribbean. So, taking all that in mind with my trivia writing, of course, the theme for this week is questions loosely connected to the island's restaurant chain. First question: Islands has a big wave burger. The movie Big features what Italian character actor as toy company magnate Mr. McMillan?
Revolution.
Did you ever see Big?
Yes, I did.
Also better than the Island. Yes,
Big's an excellent movie. So yeah,
that's a
whatever.
good movie. Yeah, yeah. Second question. Islands sells a Jungle Caesar salad. I don't know why they call it jungle. It's not different than a Caesar salad. But anyway, Hollywood tried to sell what co-star of Arthur as Cassius in 1953's movie Julius Caesar?
John Gielgud?
Yes, Sir John Good did a smashing job playing Cassius.
He's probably in the Royal Shakespeare Company, so it's whatever.
He's a good actor. I mean, it's not hard to argue that.
I thought you were criticizing him for not being Greek or something.
No, no, no. Marlon Brando plays freaking Mark Anthony. So, lost my spot. How that happened? Anyway, Vamp, vamp. Hang on. Yeah, let's okay. Let's talk about the characters of this movie. Uh, this is all depressing. Uh, Blair is fine, I guess, as a reporter investigating a story, although they really don't have much to do with him, other than the fact he has a son. And then now is the most mid tier of movie villains, kind of just like talks normal and doesn't have a lot of character. And then Beth is kind of quiet and sad.
You're selling the movie here.
You know, it's like 90% of the characters in this movie are dirty, rapey pirates that are difficult to look at while watching the movie. So,
But they talk in fun French accents at certain points. Not even the whole way.
did you know there is a rat on my head that controls my movements?
Everyone in this movie's British, like except for the kid, and then there's a on the island when they crash, the sheriff who helps them for a second is from South Africa. I think pretty much everyone else is
Yeah,
British.
there is a tradition in both film and culture for that. Yeah. Talk about the dialogue. I mean, it's a lot of yelling and the plot moving. It's not a lot of witty riposte, or how do you say that, between characters, repartee. You don't get a lot of that.
Just full immersion in the pirate life, I guess.
Yo ho. I mean,
Should could have done more of that instead of a lot of ceremonies for like, we have to kill this guy. Do we kill him or do we let him live? Like these trial things and
yeah. Anyway, dialogue. Yeah, dialogue. I mean, it's just in a better action movie, it'd be fine, but it's similar vein. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the structure. This is where the
oh
movie falls
boy.
apart. It already fell apart, but this is where the holes are clear. Um, so the opening image of the movie, this is when the movie starts off really boring because the opening image is those rich old guys on their boat, and before the movie cuts before anything happens. So technically, the first scene of the movie is the rich guys on their boat, like in the daytime, like, hey, we're on a boat, and that
They
cuts
catch
to,
a fish.
I guess, it's the most benign plot
I'm not
action
saying it's a
ever.
lot, just
Yeah.
then they fall asleep.
Well, then a trick that the movie does way too often. I mean, the first time it's kind of interesting. This even the second time with Michael Caine, it's like, oh, there's a dead body on a raft. We should investigate. And it's like, you played your hand, movie. But anyway, yeah, there's a guy on the raft and they want to help. And then I texted you this or whatever when I watched the movie. It's the funniest part of the movie. It's not a comedy movie, but because there's a body floating in the water, and the fat rich guy goes to help him, and it's a pirate with a sword as the pirates come in, and the pirate stabs the guy on the head, and the movie does not try to hide the effect shot at all. So it's a guy with a paper mache head that gets poked through. You just see it. And they do the shot again where it's like a guy has his entrails coming out of his stomach. And it's like, oh, they put a fake stomach there.
Yeah, I think they tried to. It's hard to do effects. It's actually my movie had a budget of 22 million in 1980 dollars. It's actually a pretty good budget.
Yeah, how does Tom Savini always do it? I don't know. I guess you just like have a close up and then you cut away really quick or something. I don't know.
Yeah, this we'll get into. I don't know if we're gonna get into Michael Richards directing, but I don't think he's like a visual master like certain directors are.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the opening of the movie. It establishes the pirates are there and they're doing sneaky pirating, murdering. And then we cut to our protagonist, Blair, in that really cheap. I mean, it's real. I guess it's realistic, like small reporter's office set with like two guys in it, and he's like, I don't know, this the motivation of this movie is like, but anyway, he thinks he knows why the Bermuda Triangle is being pillaged, and he's gonna go down there.
It's just so dumb because he sets it up as I want to investigate the Bermuda Triangle because people keep disappearing. And then he argues and he gets his way. And he's investigating. Oh my God. He's investigating the dangerous people disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle. And they let him just go with him and his son.
Yeah, they like actually we'll talk about it now. They try to justify the son as like, but no, he can fend for himself, and then he's really sloppy at fending for himself once the fending for himself starts. But he can
Can
like,
he get armed security guards or get an escort from the government of I don't know, U.S. government or
yeah. Before we
uh,
get too far down that
some one
road,
of the friendly Caribbean islands that are loyal, allies with the U.S. or something nearby.
yeah, I feel like it's a budgetary thing. They don't want to hire more actors. But my question to you is: aside from a reporter who wants to do the story, is there anything about Blair Maynard as a character that you can glean that's not related to the plot of the movie? He's British. He's a reporter. He wears glasses.
Not really. It goes so quickly into he's a dick to his son by lying that he's going to take him to Disney World, and instead he takes him on a boat in the Caribbean to investigate dangerous pirates or investigate disappearances.
Yeah. So we kind of already answered this, but the ordinary world of the protagonist, the movie skips this almost entirely, other than the fact that his ordinary world is that he's a reporter who lives in America. End of
Well,
sentence.
we do learn that he's a divorcee, and
Right.
his son. Part of the reason he's probably desperate to take his son with him on this thing is because he like it's real. It's true to real life when you have a kid and a husband and wife get divorced, the kid spends most of the time with the mother's wife. So they mention that repeatedly throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in addition to wanting the story, he wants to spend more time with
Yeah.
Justin, the boy's name,
Yeah. The movie sort of rushes.
who's a terrible actor, by the way.
Yeah. I give children in a horrible movie like this some slack, definitely. But yeah. Why would you have your kid do that much stuff in a movie like this? But yeah. Yeah, they sort of rush through because, like you say, he's upset about Disneyland, but they mostly have a pretty copacetic relationship. They don't really bother to have like a conflict that needs to be resolved, grow into their love for each other or whatever. We don't care.
He's a somewhat smart kid. You think he would have seen through the Disney World as a lie because Orlando's in the dead center of Florida, and he wants to go to the investigate something in the Caribbean, so you have to go all the way to Miami, I would imagine, to or somewhere around there to get a boat and go fishing and stuff.
Yeah.
Did we,
I think the screenwriter, well, it was Peter Benchley, but it was like that's supposed to pass as like snappy dialogue or something. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, moving on. Uh, the movie also skips like what does the audience see that the protagonist needs to improve in their life to be happier down the later on in the movie. I mean, you could like rationalize like, well, if he cracked this story about the pirates, he'd be like more famous as a reporter and he'd be richer. But the movie does not address that at all. So
yeah, I agree because the one scene in the office, um, he his boss guy, the I guess assume the publisher of the magazine, that's not the right term, editor probably, it doesn't seem to like him that much. They argue for a little bit about why he should be covering
yeah,
the disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle. So it's a
if
big thing that either improves his job or allows him to get a better job in the
Yes,
journalism
a
business.
movie that would make sense as a twist for structure is he works at this newspaper job and he hates it, and then at the end he gets a new job on the islands that satisfies his life and makes him happier. But the movie doesn't. The movie forgets about the whole job thing by the end, obviously.
Peter Benchley is clearly obsessed with things around the water, so as soon as he gets his characters in the water, they're never gonna leave.
Yeah,
Jaws is a much better movie, but it also ends. I believe they kill a shark and the movie ends basically, right? I mean,
yeah. The last shot is their Brody and Hooper are pushing like a barrel or something and kicking their feet, swimming back to shore. It's like a happier version of the end of this movie, but yeah, yeah.
so Peter Benchley wouldn't be the screenwriter relying on a scene in the
No, he never really learned
back
screen.
in New York.
He's more of a quasi scientist than a screenwriter. But yeah.
Marine
Anyway,
biologist.
so time for another trivia break. So Islands features the chicken Swiss cheese mushroom sandwich called the Sandpiper. What popular NBC sitcom was set at Sandpaper Airlines?
Oh, is that Wings?
Starring Jack Torrance. Yes. Hey Doc, yeah, I'm at Sandpaper Airlines. Doc. It's like great.
What's
children,
going on? I don't know.
children 12 and under can eat a junior wave burger at Islands. Nick Jr. once had a show called Little Bill about the younger version of what famous actor slash stand-up comedian?
Oh, Bill. Bill Hader. I don't know.
You say kids trust the guy who drugs the women because the women. They don't, anyway, Bill Cosby.
Wow.
So, what movie event sucks the protagonist into the story? Uh, I guess there's two parts to this. I don't know. I don't know in terms of the timeline in the movie duration, because obviously, at the beginning, Michael Caine or Blair Maynard is like, "Hey, I want to go investigate this in the water." And then there's also the turning point, which is probably structurally, I think it's pretty early in the movie, is obviously when they get kidnapped by the pirates.
Well, what I was gonna say is they go fishing and they talk about their excitement about catching barracuda, and they actually catch a barracuda, and they're so thrilled. And then they see a girl struggling in the water, and they go to pull her out, but Justin he about pulls her in, and then she pulls him into the water, and then Michael Caine gets knocked unconscious. He actually kills the pirate attacking him, but he gets knocked unconscious, hitting his head on the boat. And then they're in chains, or I guess tied up, I guess, in Pirate Island when they wake up.
Let's just segue into the most controversial segment of this episode, because what is the fun and games of this episode? And I would argue the fun and games of this episode is the fucking cannibal Holocaust homage. Because cannibal Holocaust, clarify for the audience and for Marcus, maybe it's a you may know this, but it's a movie about cannibals, but they shot it like it was a documentary, and people got upset because they thought they were real cannibals eating people. And this movie kind of does the same thing, where it's like they're showing the pirates being rapey and having their pirate civilization, and they shoot it so long and so normally that it almost looks like a documentary. I'd argue that's the fun and games of the movie, which is dreadful.
Well, you could tell it is trying to be a thriller with the it's trying to escape from a prison camp. There's also much better movies to that effect, like Cool Hand Luke,
Cool and Luke is not
The Defiant Ones.
Cool and Luke is not gross to watch. I know it is the prison
I,
system, but it's
I'm
not
just
like
saying the trying to escape a desperate situation type of thing.
yeah,
So that's the quote. Fun and games is worrying about Blair trying to escape and
the sun.
trying to unbrainwash his kid who gets brainwashed very quickly, by the way.
Yeah, it's basically there may have been some time duration, but it's basically a cut to where it's like yeah, David Warner talks to him and then they cut to and he's like insane. Yeah, the boy's insane now. But, yeah.
I think they talked to him. They cut to the only thing they show before he gets brainwashed is he talks to one of the pirates in a tent. And that was a really good talk that brainwashed young Justin to
Yeah.
be a pirate.
In a better movie, they would have done a better job of establishing some sort of longevity to Blair and Beth's relationship because she sort of helps him and they sort of have a bond, but they don't he doesn't want to be attached to her.
It is a way to show how evil pirates are because they are incredibly brutal to her. Well, for one thing, this movie is very cyclical. Uh, and I would argue the movie should never be cyclical. Like, oh, wait, that happens again, because repetitiveness is bad. Michael Caine escapes from camp like 3 times and gets captured 3 times. Um, each of the times she gets blamed, including and gets punished, including, oh boy, that get to it now that she gets stripped and a squid gets thrown on her.
Yeah, bad. I don't know much to say because I my brain stopped watching this movie because that's like you say it's so cyclical. It seems repetitive and plotless at times. So that, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, structurally this movie's weird because I guess like you say, it's attempting to escape, but it's so difficult to escape, and so the world's so dreary that the like basic plot line of like the protagonist, I don't know, fighting back and gaining. I guess the movie sort of skips the whole like Dark Knight of the Soul character gives up because it's just sort of like he can't escape, and then he does escape. That's basically the through line. I mean, there's the intervening sort of what's the word? Almost Deus Ex Machina thing where the what are they? Is that the Navy? What is that?
It was the Coast Guard.
When the pirates take them, but it's so fucked up because the Coast Guard's so big or whatever that it causes chaos and allows Michael Caine to win, basically. But yeah,
Yes. Pirates can somewhat I guess some of the pirates were killed, but they somewhat easily slaughter the entire Coast Guard ship. Ugh. Uh yeah, and then Michael Caine just swims after them, and how convenient that there's a all the pirates are on the lower deck, and on the upper deck there's a machine gun that can mow them down.
yeah. And then real quick, that just gets to the end of the movie pretty quickly because I don't know exactly how they staged it, but Blair and Now have their final confrontation, and what is what is Blair's son's name? I have
Justin, like I said before,
yeah, yeah. Justin kills Now. He overcame his brainwashing or whatever. And the movie sort of ends like you said, like Jaws. Jaws is a million times better, but the ending is very similar where it's like the bad guy's dead, the good guy's won, and the movie ends. There's no like cut to later, back in New York, nothing. It's just boom, bang, boom. So another structure thing this movie seems to ignore the island is the protagonist's life at the end of the movie versus the protagonist's life at the beginning. We don't really get to see the Michael Caine or Blair Maynard in his normal life, so uh he's probably more like frazzled because he was captured for pirates for a while. But other
yeah,
than that,
well, yeah, this movie's a lot of flaws. It's terrible, but I don't mind that it ends with survival, because they're in a brutal situation. Uh, in fact,
yeah.
an epilogue might have been better or something, but I don't how poor the rest of this movie is. I wouldn't trust Peter Benchley and Michael Ritchie to handle the epilogue well.
So just because we talked about Jaws before and how it kind of has the similar lack of not lack of structure, but yeah, like light structure and ending and stuff. The thing about Jaws is, Sheriff Brody, he's afraid of going in the water while being sheriff of Amity Island. And at the end of the movie, he's swimming in the water and he's just killed the shark. So the audience gets this thing in their head. They're like, wow, now he's really not afraid of the water on multiple levels. And that's a lot more pleasing of an ending than this movie. I just wrote a perfect ending in my head. Okay, so you don't need a big scene or anything. Just Michael Caine gets back to the mainland. He picks up a phone in the hotel room. He calls New York and he's like, "Hey editor, I've got a story for you." Cut the credits. Boom, boom, you're done.
Yeah.
Because that way you satisfy the whole reporter's arc thing without having to you know explain it in long detail. But
Peter Benchley don't care about your go back to the original thing. It's an excuse to get a non-pirate person into the pirate waters was I think the only reason the journalism piece
yeah,
existed.
it's like some weird Peter Benchley fantasy because he's like the reporter and he could go to pirate land. Yeah. Uh, so the closing image of the movie, and we discussed this. I guess there is one technically because the movie has a closing image, but it's kind of like the classic freeze frame. Is hugging his son who's not brainwashed, and it only matches the opening of the movie and plot. Cinematography wise, there's like no connection. Bunch of fat rich guys on a boat versus Michael Caine on the Coast Guard vessel.
Yeah,
Pirates were alive, pirates are dead. That's pretty much the opening and closing of the movie. But
we do get the end credits of the helicopter spotting the Coast Guard ship and being like, "Oh my God, there's a bunch of dead people on it. Oh my God, they look like pirates." And the guy other say and says, "You meant pilots, right?" And like, "No, I said pirates."
yeah, you make it sound better than the movie did. All right, more another trivia break. You know what sounds really good right now? An island's cool breeze shake. Coconut cream, pineapple, banana, and strawberry. You know what sounds okay sometimes? Summer breeze. An easy listening 70s hit by what soft rock power duo?
That's Seals and Crofts.
Yes. We're giving you points for Croft without the S because it's confusing. Uh, a Kona pie for dessert sounds good too. You got mocha chocolate on a cookie crust with a maraschino cherry on top. Kona pie, almost, but not really. Sounds like Kodachrome. A great tune by what famous singer songwriter who used to be in a duo?
Paul Simon.
Yep, great song. Also better than the island. Uh, I guess I was a little harsh initially over rating the structure. I guess if it's like a movie serial where it's all action all the time. It's okay, but I think the movie would have been deepened if there was more of a personal connection to who Blair Maynard was, and that was kind of theme for the whole movie. Or I was just kind of like the weakest part of the structure is David Warner as now as a villain. It's more of like a historical footnote than like a true villain. Nothing really unique about his story at all. That's my general review of the structure is meh, meh.
I think the worst part of the movie is the ends up being pretty gory. Uh,
And what's the word? In fact, we get this later, but it reminded me,
insensitive.
it reminded me of Rob Zombie movies where it's like you think there's gonna be a movie and then it's just like, oh no, just rape and a lot of grisly murders.
Right, because one of the five times the pirates kill civilians. The last guy fighting. He's like skilled in karate.
Oh, that was the best scene in the movie. I like that guy.
He's kind of, is it racist for a white guy to do karate and go,
The noise he did were racist, but his fight skills were excellent. It almost became a good kung fu movie in the middle of a shitty other movie. Anyway, I don't know where we're going with that, but I recommend watching that scene alone where the guy, because it's really long too. He kicks one guy in the head, he smashes another guy's head on the boat. It's a really good fight choreography randomly.
then he gets gored by a sword or something. It's just,
Yeah, I was like grading the kills. Sword kills the weakest one by far. Yeah, it's disappointing. Like this movie. Uh, the pacing. This movie's weird because on a editing level, the pacing's not is actually pretty fast, but on a plot level, the pacing is ungodly. The movie's only like an hour. Like what is it? It's like I know it's like 2 hours, but the stuff on the pirate island so repetitive. Good God.
well, I know this question is me like the pacing of the plot, but in the biggest action piece of set piece of the movie, they fly a plane from mainland America to an island, and they have to emergency crash the plane basically because the landing gear is broken.
Right.
And they text you this, but when the plane's crashing on one of the shots, it randomly speeds up for no reason.
Yeah.
So just I don't makes the pacing of that shot was bizarre.
So my guess is that because obviously you can't really crash a plane and film it. I mean, you could, but it's really expensive. So they probably like eased it in slow and then tried to speed the film up to make it look normal. That's my best guess. But yeah, yeah,
Anyway, in terms of plot pacing, I agree. As bad as this was, it was kind of a breezy watch. But then you're going, ugh, the whole time because it's just like I said, like you've been saying over again, just constant killing, essentially a raped by a squid.
yeah,
A lot of pirate ceremony is so repetitive.
yeah. Which is a good
But it
transition
feels kind
into
of quick.
yeah.
Um,
Well, we already answered what the tone is. I would argue it's trying to go for almost like a documentary in parts, but mostly just like a exciting what Peter Benchley thinks is an exciting adventure movie or whatever. But it's obviously very dark.
yeah, I mean, I get, I mean, they want to add up at night and stuff because they, they have no running water or electricity or anything. So,
I just meant like dark tone, like tonally, like evil, or we're gonna call it.
although I said there's no electricity, but it kind of sounded there was because did you notice? Because I couldn't help but notice the awful bird noises they had when they were talking on the island.
Sounds kind of familiar. It's definitely. Uh, I think they're trying to convey it was like wild and stuff, but yeah, it was
It's too loud. Just
not good
turn it
sound
off.
design. It's not a good movie. And then yeah, to talk about the originality of the movie, it felt like I say, it felt like a movie I'll never watch, but Cannibal Holocaust or whatever. It felt very like here's the gross stuff. Eh.
Yeah.
Having to be white pirates could have been more interesting. French pirates or whatever, but you know,
Yeah, I could at least have more color in the group. And they weren't even French, they were British people pretending to be French. Although, well, no, it doesn't make sense because they're inbreeding and not It actually leads to Blair and Justin surviving so long because they think they're like blessed outsiders that are uh descended from some guy named Robert Maynard, who was a British naval officer. Um,
Yeah, the movie could have paid that out better too, but yeah. And then talk about the marketability, which we call the tell. Would you willingness to tell anyone to watch this movie? I would literally never mention this movie to anyone ever. Closest thing is like if you really liked House of a Thousand Corpses, I might be like, get a load of this. Well, even that would be kind of tenuous.
do you like that movie, but 30 some years earlier and crappier?
It's just yeah, definitely less. Even though Rob Zombie movies are terrible, the acting is definitely better in those movies. Yeah,
This movie than any others that we've reviewed so far requires a warning because someone might be like, "Oh, Peter Benchley wrote this." I like Jaws. I'm like, it's nothing like Jaws. It's so much worse.
or like Michael Caine, I like David Warner. This movie would seem like to just fit in the mold of a generically okay 80s movie. Nope. Michael Ritchie, like we discussed. Where's my amiable comedy film? Where? All right. Another trivia break. Islands has a lot of agua fresca. Speaking of agua, what lake has a lot of fresh water, making it the largest freshwater body of water in the world?
That like my call?
Yes. Islands sells a Big Island iced tea cocktail. What big island in the southern hemisphere is the largest island by square mileage in the world?
Antarctica?
No, I don't know if I think Antarctica and Australia are too big to qualify for as islands.
Uh, Borneo? I don't know.
You're on the right track. It's New Guinea. Let's talk about the Razzie nominations. No secret Golden Globe nominations this movie.
Thank God.
Michael Ritchie was nominated for Worst Director and lost
Earned.
Robert Greenwald for Xanadu. I would argue that while The Island is easily the worst movie in the entire Razzie category, probably, but Xanadu is technically under directed. So I think it's be fair to say that Xanadu was worst directed, but it's debatable.
I'm gonna give in the word to Michael Ritchie because Xanadu, I think some of the musical scenes are directed in a fun way. Um, I don't think anything's directed well in this movie.
No, there's some technical expertise with shooting on water, but I've probably seen other directors like Steven Spielberg do it better. So yeah, it's pretty bad. And then Michael Cohen, I don't care about a script. How is the chick? Okay, yeah, that was like work on that. But anyway, Michael Caine was nominated for Worst Actor for playing Blair, and was co-nominated the same year for playing Bobby in Dress to Kill. And he lost to Neil Diamond and the Jazz Singer. Um, yeah, I think Michael Caine, as horrible as this movie is, he does a very competent job of acting and everything he does. So obviously he's not, in my opinion, not as bad as Neil Diamond's
no,
cinematic.
it's not his. The movie's not his fault at all. He actually acts very well. Nothing remarkable, but he acts. He does the part of a
Dad slash
marooned guy trying to escape pirates. Uh, I never thought Michael Caine made anything he did worse. So he's definitely much better than
Bobby's close. I guess
well,
it's kind of a
okay, we're
stretch.
talking about the island today though, but
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But Neil Diamond was asked to, it was not Neil Diamond's fault, but he was asked to do too much and it kind of exposed him in the Jazz Singer. So I think the right person won for that.
Yeah. And then you can go ahead and in a brief thing, both rate this movie and how it ranks in the pantheons of 1980 Razzie movies so far.
There's literally nothing redeeming about this movie. It's not shot well, not really acted well. Like I said, the son is terrible actor, and I don't think he ever acted again. He's a non-linker on Wikipedia. None of the supporting characters are fun in any way. Uh, David Warner and Michael Caine are competent, but they're not really entertaining. And then it just the gore, it's just and then the throwing a squid on a woman in it, possible sexual assault. I it's just
Yeah.
easily the worst of the sorry, just so frustrating. I'm losing my track of my easily the worst of the 1980 Razzies. I can't believe it didn't get nominated for Worst Picture. 1 out of 10 or maybe zero. I don't know. I don't have anything positive to say about this movie.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Most of that 100%. Uh, because the quote unquote not horrible things, i.e., pirate rape, forced impregnation, torture, etc. The good parts of this movie are a generic, exotic adventure movie, which I hate those movies so much. I don't like movies like that, like Stranded on an Island and Island Adventure and stuff. The only competent thing about this movie is the actors that include Punch McGregor as Beth as well. They certainly exceed the grasp of the material they're given easily. And Michael Caine and David Warner not as much, although that's also because of the character. But Michael Caine is good too. Anyway, but not great, just fine. Where are we getting at this? Yeah, it's half the movie's a creepy rape movie, and the other half's a boring adventure movie. So 1 out of 10, way worse than the like the makes the formula look like freaking Shakespeare on Ice. I don't know what our worst movie. I think it's our worst movie, but yeah, do not recommend. And then a little more trivia break. Islands has a happy hour. What happy forward phrase is often used to refer to the American presidency of James Monroe?
Era of good feelings. I'm feeling good.
Got it. There's a song. Oh, it's that I got a feeling Black Eyed Peas
Oh my
song.
God. Sorry I brought it up.
And James Monroe is president.
Don't come to the Caribbean. That's my shit.
And then last trivia question. Islands has a lunch special with North Shore tacos. Since 2013, the North Shore of Maine and the rest of the state has been represented in the Senate by what left-leaning independent?
It's, Angus King.
Yes. All right. Uh Time to guess the next movie before we go. This is another one of those movies where it's not famous, so the first clue is just going to be all the relevant details. So your first clue: it's a romantic comedy, apparently based on a Jerry Lee Lewis song, and produced by Sid and Marty Krofft, starring Bruce Dern and Anne Margaret.
Great Balls of Fire.
Okay, we're gonna do something different this time because 3 words in the title. We're gonna play 25 words or less for each word. Okay, so middle. Oh shit, shit. Can pretend you hear that.
Middle of
Between,
the word.
between, not left,
Mid-
not right.
Middle.
Oh my god, you only got that. All right. Second word, era,
Middle period.
stone blank.
Middle age.
Third word, insane.
Middle age crazy.
Yes, we're watching Middle Age Crazy, where the director who's not famous got nominated for a Razzie for worst director. And for our audience and for Marcus, It's not technically available on any streaming platform, but if you Google how to watch Middle Age Crazy with an open mind and an open heart, there are links, which me and Marcus will discuss off air. Yes. So Jerry Lewis is credited as a writer, and he's never written a screenplay in his life. I don't understand. He did a song called Middle Age Crazy, but it look honestly every Razzie movie. Anyway, we'll talk more about this movie next week. I was just gonna say every Razzie movie should be what this movie looks like, which is a generic movie that no one's ever seen because it's kind of what the Razzie should be. But all right, we'll talk about Middle Age Crazy and other stuff next week on Tween Real. Book me on your shows, or let's be best friends and hang out. Maybe I don't know.